To remember about Tron is that Tron fights for the users, all right? And I feel like for the longest time, we in marketing land, no one really fought for us, right? Like for the end users. I can tell you that when I was an engineer, I talked to marketers all the time, but they never had the substance, right? They never had the facts about the product. They gave me all the battle cards, the sales sheets, but no one was ever like really fighting for me. And so I made the transition into marketing to really make sure that developers and enterprise IT and DevOps teams are supported from marketing content, that we don't go out and we tell you things that our products cannot do. That's one of my core values. And so when I speak to you, I speak to you from a technical side of things. So anyway, you can see on the sheet here, I'm an engineer turned marketer. So I've been doing marketing for 8 months. That's been fun. I enjoy it. So I'm very customer first. So I love talking to customers. I like solving customer problems. We have big problems to solve, and we have a lot of moving pieces, and not every solution is going to be solved by one company or one technology. I think it's just right to find the right technology to solve the problem at hand. I'm a DevOps aficionado. I run some meetups in Ohio. I run the Docker meetup, and spend a lot of time in AWS. And I've done a lot of work with containers, APIs, and now I'm focusing a lot on mobile. And I do a combination of open source and enterprise. I spend a lot of time with VMware, and then writing open source apps on top of VMware. So it's, you take one of your most enterprise pieces of software in your stack, and then you throw something like Ruby on Rails or Node.js on top of that. That creates a kind of interesting environment. So this is the word, right? This is the word of the conference, transformation, digital transformation. So I'll tell you that 8 months ago when I was a developer, digital transformation to me was a buzzword. That was like listening to cloud in 2007, right? When everybody said the cloud, and I was like, I got a cloud, I got a colo, right? I've got all my data in a colo somewhere in another data center. Why would I ever want to put my data up into somebody that I don't know, right? Same thing like digital transformation. Why would I want to just destroy what I've got in my business? Why would I want to do something new? But I'll tell you what, I've found the pieces of digital transformation that resonates with me personally and with the customers that I've spoken to. And I'm going to talk on the good parts of digital transformation. And one of the big pieces is another buzzword, which is Omni-Channel, right? We hear Omni-Channel all the time, but the big pieces about Omni-Channel is that, we're targeting a new market. So, and I definitely personally fit into that market where, where we've got a younger generation that is tired of standing in line to pay for a traffic ticket. They're tired of standing in line to pay for their airplane ticket or to go and print out something. I mean, how many people even own printers in their homes anymore? I mean, I don't. I actually ran into a problem with this with my Visa. But so we've now got an age of people that want their mobile to be first. They want to go to a website. They want to know what hours they can go to this particular business. They want to know when they can go and engage with this business. They want to load up their mobile application, and they want to buy right now. They want a first-class experience right this second. So customer engagement right now for businesses is really hard because where we used to control the flow of how people got into our business and did our workflows, we knew the customer journey. A customer goes, they go to our website, they sign up for an account, they go to the store, they find the product they want, they put it in their shopping cart, they buy it, we know their name, their address, their phone number, we know their credit card, and we can have them sign another deal tomorrow. We'll just send them a reminder email, right? Like buy more widgets. And the problem is that that's not happening anymore. We found that we hit the golden age of that a few years ago, and now those kind of retention policies aren't working. So the end user, the customer, they want things when they want it, now, which is always when they want it. They want it now. They want it at 3 in the morning, like we're in Mumbai, which is a wonderful city that's 24 hours. That was one of the first things that really, truly amazed me of the city. So many cities claim to be 24 hours. You go to New York and they say, hey, New York's a city of 24 hours, right? You can order a pizza at 3 in the morning. That's about all you can get at 3 in the morning, all right? It's just pizza. But true customer experience never ends anymore, right? Like we never shut off. Business hours are done. And so for things like DevOps, like when do we deploy, right? Like we now have these giant code bases that we need to make major changes to, but we can't say, hey, we're going to do this in the evening when everybody goes to bed and no one will be on our e-commerce store. So this introduces some unique challenges for our businesses. So when I talk to customers and partners, they have business problems, right? Everybody has problems. If we didn't have problems, we wouldn't have solutions. If we didn't have solutions, we wouldn't have customers. If we didn't have customers, none of us would be here, right? So poor customer experience has just been something that the people that I talk to are just going on and on about. So that, we've got customers, but we don't understand them. We've got all this data, but we can't develop insights from this data. We know when they're logging on, we know the pages are going to, but it's really difficult for us to pull insights from this data. Or if we do want to pull insights from this data, our BI teams have to pull major, huge queries that take a long time. We have to define what we want, the questions, we want to ask these questions up front. And then 2-3 days, a week later, our BI team gives us these insights. And we can say, well, 2 weeks ago we ran a campaign, and in that campaign, we changed the color. We changed the color from blue to red on this one button, and we increased our conversion rate. Well, that doesn't work, right? Because we've already launched 3 more campaigns in that 2-week period. So they have a technology challenge. And I've actually had a couple of conversations about this while I've been here in Mumbai about people have been working with Sitefinity, and now they're doing things with Sitefinity, and scale becomes a problem, like global scale, when you've got 30 plus brands across multiple languages, across different time zones, and all of the brands need to be in compliance, and compliance of who can publish, who can remove content, who can change content. Does that content get pushed to a mobile application? Is that content web only? Is the content delivered as a PDF? Is it delivered as an email? Businesses are having more of this technology challenge because how do we scale these applications? Marketers have tons of challenges, right? So marketing challenges are that they can't meet the needs of the individual customer, so they have these market segments, right? And they say, we're going to target only developers, or we're going to target doctors, or we're going to target sports players, right? So I hear cricket's really big here, right? I guess who did we have dinner next to? The Tiger of Bengal? Okay. So anyway, we were at dinner the other night, and they said that there was a cricket star next to me, and it was amazing, by the way. But I digress. So we put people into these silos, right? And we say, hey, we want to target these people in these particular silos, but we don't know a lot about them. It's like, I've got a cricket player next to me, but I don't know what his favorite drink is. Like, I just know that he's really, really, really good at cricket, right? And I need to know more in order to custom tailor his experience when he goes and buys things from me. Business impact. So we see this, right? Like, we're not seeing the growth. We're not seeing double-digit growth in some of our product areas. We're spending a lot of engineering effort, and we're spending a lot of product marketing effort, and we're spending a lot of product management effort, and time and money and resources, but we're not seeing these huge growth potentials. And what you see is a startup comes in, and they move quickly, and they're agile, right? And the startup comes in, and where we've got product lines, these heritage product lines that have a normal growth pattern. It just looks like a straight line. These startups come in and they have a hockey stick, and it's an L, right? It's this huge growth. Businesses want this, right? Like older businesses, and they deserve it, right? They have the resources, they have the talent, but they've not been able to move quickly enough. So I'm going to move quickly through a couple of these slides, and I'll give you a disclaimer too. A week ago, I was told I was coming to India, and they called me on the phone and they said, Aaron, would you be interested in going to India? And I said, absolutely, just sign me up. I'll get a visa, I'll be there overnight, right? So this was not my original deck. So sometimes somebody else prepares a slide deck. I don't know if anybody in the room's had this problem where you've had to pitch somebody else's deck for them, and then you start looking through it and you go, this isn't me. So I'm going to slide through a couple of the slides, right? I'm going to move through some of the ones that aren't great. But the big promise of digital transformation, right, is that we're now getting our business and our IT teams working together. We saw this a couple of years ago where we had things like shadow IT, right? Like, ooh, the shadow IT. Everybody's really upset about that. They didn't really know what to do and how to handle shadow IT because basically the marketing teams would go out, they'd get a credit card, and they go, well, we can hire a consulting agency, and the consulting agency will write our mobile app for us, right? We'll get a mobile app done, we can get a mobile app done in 2 months, and the IT team will take us, 6 months to get it done, and it won't be done right, because once it's done, they won't allow us to have any kind of input. and the mobile experience will be poor. So, marketing teams have really started driving IT, which is absolutely strange to me, because I came from IT and I said, we set the rules, right? This is our playing field. These are our servers. This is our technology. We love technology, And never would I have thought that in a million years that someone from a marketing organization would come down and say, hey, we're going to build this new mobile app and it's going to use Angular. Or we're going to build this new mobile app and it's going to be, it's only going to do this one function, or it's going to be written in JavaScript, right? But now, the marketing organizations are driving this. But now that we've acknowledged that, there was these problems between business and IT and getting problem solved, we're able to define what this is, and we're able to start opening lines of communication again, where we start having chief digital officers, or we start having digital committees inside of companies. So digital transformation is great because that starts solving problems. So hey, let's talk about Omni-Channel, right? So a lot of companies, when they start down the path, no one ever says, well, I guess I can't say no one, but I will say that most people that I've talked to have never sat in a room and said, let's start omni-channeling today, right? You sit down and you say, you know what, we'll just omni-channel this problem and we'll solve it. What it starts off as is it usually starts off is our web content experience is poor. So what will happen is that these people will start off and they'll start with an open CMS, right? Like they use a WordPress or a Drupal. And they, and so one person in a marketing team, he's hiding in that cubicle. He's got the whole world, or she's got the whole world on their shoulders with writing content. And then what happens is you start finding that this doesn't scale, right? Like your IT team's going to start blogging as well, and you've now got 3 marketing teams, and they're all going to want to have access to this. And how do we schedule these events? And how do we send emails about the blog posts that we are writing? So we start seeing social media integration. Right? That's our next step. We've written these blog posts. We're going to tweet them out. We're going to send them out through your different social media channels. And so now you have this social media marketing manager, right? And so this person is taking care of scheduling the tweets at the right point in time, or they're making a Facebook post, or they're doing a picture on Instagram. But that's not done. So what happens is that this open platform doesn't get you where you need to go. And you've hacked on these open integrations, these integrations with Twitter. And so you've had your development team, and they're scrambling to add these integrations. So what do you do? The IT manager, the IT director says, we need a comprehensive solution. So something comes in, and so, I work for Progress, so Progress has Sitefinity, and so I would say that Sitefinity would be a great solution for this, right? But that's not all. You've got this enterprise content management system, and you're able to have your teams get in and get access to this content. You're able to send this content out through your social channels. You've got full control over it. But you know what? You've got this development team, and they're writing a mobile application, and this mobile application just can't. Now you're publishing content here to mobile, and you've got content in Sitefinity, and it just didn't work out. So now we need a little bit more integration, right? We need our mobile applications to pull from our CMS. And now that we get this working, now that we get these mobile apps pulling from CMS, we have different sets of metrics, right? So when people are engaging on our web page, on our Sitefinity instance, then we're keeping track of their metrics, their clicks, the pages that they visit, the downloads that they go to. But now we've got this mobile application, and those events are different, right? Like now I've got pages that I'm opening or content that I'm downloading in my mobile application, time of browsing, what time I open the app. We need to federate this data together so that we can have better user insights. And so then what you ultimately end up with is a solution that is a corporate personality management capabilities, right? So that each person that comes in and enters into your social experience, we can define whether that person engages you via mobile, whether through web, whether through email, whether these people are, we're living in a world with IoT, right? So maybe these people use devices to interact with you. So now we need a comprehensive solution. So we've talked about the traditional approach, right? We started off, we have a single website, and we would grow that website out. We'd have single apps. We'd have an app written for Android, and cross off the Windows phone on there. That's a little old. I think that one struck out. But we'd have an Android app, and we'd have an Apple application, and these took months 6 months to a year to develop these new mobile applications. They required special teams. And now we're starting to get in a world where we need to develop, our content in terms of weeks. We need to deliver content in 2 weeks. So an executive walks into the room, says, we're going to do a new marketing campaign for a new segment, and we're going to launch that in 2 weeks. So now we're able to do these things and push this content out and write content in one place and push that content out either via email or via your mobile channel or via your website. So customer experience at scale is a huge challenge. So when we talk about things like consolidated billing, right? Like how many, when a company has 30 different brands, when it's a fast-moving consumer goods company, you would think that, they might have 5, 6, 10 consulting companies, maybe, or partners working on different brands. You might have a soft drink brand, and you might have an energy bar or some kind of breakfast cereal or something. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the same teams working on those different brands. So when they're collaborating, and while these things are happening, you're hiring and firing consulting agencies, right? You bring a new agency on for a new project. That agency leaves, but that intellectual property doesn't go away. And what has happened in the past, right? Like when we siloed these things, you would have to go and your IT team would have to get involved and they would have to get the emails and the logins and the passwords. They would have to have access to wherever the site was hosted and, it was never written in the right language in the first place. And so then you ultimately end up, you would have to reinvent the wheel every time you wanted to add new content to these new product lines. And that's just not right. We should be able to do this once, have a standard, and then as we're developing this content and rolling this content out, whether it's a different creative agency, we need to have some sets of common goals and some common guidelines. So Digital Factory. So this is where I hang out now. I work on the Digital Factory team, and I handle working with the IT and DevOps and developer buyers. But what does Digital Factory mean to you? So Digital Factory has 2 segments, 2 sides, right? We have a technology side, which is my home base of IT and in the C-level, CIO. They have managed the infrastructure, they manage the risk, they manage the uptime, they manage the scale, and then the marketing team manages the customer experience. So we've split these off into 2 sides. So for marketing, you've got your traditional web, mobile, email, social, IoT. We're adding those things in. That's awesome. And then for IT, we're going to be building the apps. We're actually executing these strategies where we're writing the mobile apps, we're building the web pages. We're responsible for those deliverables. So you start seeing that IT is going to be managing the APIs. They're going to be driving the developer tools. They can use their own tools. You can bring your own tools. You can bring your own language. I was talking with another partner out here, and they were saying that they just built a new responsive front end for their Sitefinity instance. And one of the best things that they really enjoyed about it is that they were able to go and build their responsive web app in their own development way. They use an MVC.NET application, but they use the Sitefinity CMS as the single source of truth for content, right? So their development team was able to run and sprint and go off and do what they needed to do, but content ultimately lived in Sitefinity, so that their marketing team never had to. They were used to Sitefinity, right? Like, so they could go in and they could write their posts and they could go and put that data into Sitefinity, but the application developers, they can pull the content right out of Sitefinity and push that out in whatever experience level they want. So we keep talking about scale, but global scale is one of the biggest problems that we can solve with Digital Factory. And that, now we're able to break down and we can have governance at the different levels. So when you have a creative agency and they make a change, you can have an approval process for that change, and you can know who gets added to the project, removed from the project, who makes a post, who removes a post. All of these things are really, really important when we start talking about more than just one site. Because all of these changes, we're ultimately responsible for them. IT is responsible for them, right? So if we hired a contractor and someone came in and deleted a blog post, we need to know who did it, when they did it, why they did it, whether it was approved, whether we approve this kind of change, whether this was a violation of our contract, and whether we have the ability to roll back. Sitefinity comes in and really helps drive your site management. But Digital Factory helps you manage multiple sites. So Sitefinity is think of that as the core base for managing multiple sites out. And it provides value for your IT team because they're able to reuse this content over and over again. And so you can push this content out via email, you can push this content out via your mobile, and you don't have to reformat the same data and enter it in over and over. So a couple of things. So here's the marketing page. So we'll skip through a couple of these, right? So management of digital resources at scale, right? So you have your brands. You want to make sure that you're using the right logos, the right colors, the right color scheme, the right font colors for your brand across every one of your properties. How many times have you ever seen a PowerPoint slide deck where somebody uses the old logo for your company? Or they use the wrong color scheme, right? Like we actually ran into this not too long ago for Progress, right? We changed some colors around and we had half of the slide decks at Progress were one set of colors and the other half were another. And that was just on slides. Well, imagine that across all of your brands. So managing those brand assets at scale is one of our big value props there. So flexibility and control for your UX is one of the biggest pieces. So with Sitefinity, we have something called Project Feather. Feather is an open source project that allows you to write front-end applications in MVC.net for your Sitefinity install. So we'll manage your content and we'll keep your content safe. We'll add your analytics to your content, but it's up to you to build your application in the way you want to build it. Let's talk about mobile a little bit. So Progress, we've got some pretty cool technology when it comes to mobile. In the past, some folks have used Teller Platform to do their mobile applications, and Platform's awesome. But we've got some cool new things where we have now native script, which allows you to actually write your applications in JavaScript, and it will transpile the code that you write in JavaScript, and it will actually write out a native application. So your development team, you can take, instead of having a team of 5 developers on Java for your Android application, and then 5 developers for your Cocoa, your Objective-C for your iPhone, you can now take 10 developers that are all writing JavaScript, and you have them write the same application base code. So you get a huge performance increase. But now the output is no longer, the output now are native. So now we're pushing out applications that are not running traditional JavaScript. They're compiled down to native bits. And we're able to have you develop your mobile applications quickly. They're scaling quickly. And we're not forcing you into any particular design decisions because you have access to all of the device level specifics. So it actually allows you to start working across multiple devices and very, very quickly. So we talked about a little bit about build your native applications with native script. Data connectivity is one of the other big pieces that we have, which is awesome. And data connectivity with Data Direct helps take data from Salesforce, which is, there's a website that a lot of developers go to. It's called Stack Overflow. And if you've ever done any development, you've probably Googled something on Stack Overflow for a question. But Stack Overflow does a survey every year. And for 2016, the #1 most dreaded technology to work with was Salesforce for developers. And it was simply that they weren't able to be quick. They weren't able to be productive with it. And so Data Direct sits on top of Salesforce and will actually make it quite pleasurable for your development teams to actually work with your Salesforce data. So customer engagement, we're getting on more to the omni-channel, right? So we've talked about web, we've talked about mobile, but web and mobile independently, that's not an omni-channel experience. The omni-channel experience is being able to keep track of the customer journey across multiple devices. And I'm keeping an eye on my time here a little bit too. So customer journey is big, and your company's probably using some of the tools listed here, right? So some people are using Google Analytics, and maybe they're relying really heavily on Google Analytics, or they've got Marketo or Eloqua. They're using the custom Twitter analytics to find out where their customers are coming from and how much they're engaging with their tweets. But the comprehensive picture of this is really hard to draw, right? You have tons of data sources coming in, and unless you have an analyst team, it's really, really difficult to really draw excellent insights from this data. But we can all agree that these are the kind of problems that we have. We need to know what our customers are doing when they engage with our product lines. It is difficult to deliver, but we've got a couple of solutions in the right direction. And with that is Progress's Data Direct, or not Data Direct, Progress's Digital Experience Cloud. Sorry, I got hooked on the last one. So with our Digital Experience Cloud, we can do a number of different things. But we'll talk a little bit about how we manage these particular events. So in phase one, we used to track page views and bounce rates and number of contacts, right? And that was, that's your first pass. You use Google Analytics. You can say, well, we made a blog post and we got 1,000 page views on it. This was a success, right? And so, your intern was like, yay, I'm still here. I did 1,000 views of my blog post. But in phase two, your marketing team gets a hold of it, and we need to know what our MQLs, our marketing qualified leads, right? So, yeah, we had 1,000 views, but only 2 people bought anything from us. Like, that wasn't a good blog post. So you start adding in more things that you're tracking. You need to do email workflows on how you're going to do retention, or maybe they didn't read the first email, so you'll come up with a follow-up email. You'll work on landing pages for when you want to do a new product MVP and you want to do a product launch and you just want to see if people are interested, if you get engagement. A/B testing is huge. And then the third phase is the 360 contact profiling, where you know all the aspects of the context that you have. Audience management, journey analytics, personalization, content attribution, all of these pieces that really could become that third, final, iteration of your analytics package. Omni-channel analytics questions. So these are the 3 questions. These are the Gartner questions, right? This is what Gartner comes to people and they say, where do you sit in this magic, wonderful quadrant, and are you a progressive piece of software here? So people need to know what happened, what could happen, and what should we do next. So we have descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. So Sitefinity's Digital Experience Cloud is excellent when it comes to predictive and prescriptive analytics. It has unmatched data integration capabilities. So with our Data Direct package, we're able to go and bolt into your Salesforce data, your Marketo data, and pull that in and start pulling insights from other data sources other than just what you're tracking on your web pages or on your events or your mobile. So I brought my colleague with me. He's in my laptop. His name's Anton Hristov. I've learned that doing live devos is probably the #1 way to absolutely destroy your presentation on stage. So I've got Anton here with me. I'll pull him up on my laptop. So Anton, can you help me optimize conversions and the customer journey?
Customer journey. But to show you how the Digital Experience Cloud helps marketers, let's take a look at a quick demo. So here we see the Digital Experience Cloud dashboard with the most important analytics highlights as well as recommendations. Here we can take a look at who our customers are. We can filter for contacts that belong to a given persona. We can check out their 360-degree profile and their journey timeline. We can see an audience breakdown by persona and given contacts that belong to a certain persona. We can check out our hot leads in the lead scoring section. Furthermore, we can see how we're doing in regards to conversions and what are the assets that attribute to increasing a given conversion. Here are some data-driven recommendations on what we can do to increase conversion. And here is who we can target with the recommendation, what we can achieve, and how to achieve that increasing conversion rate. Here is some campaign engagement analytics that tell us how well we're doing. Here we can take a look at all the touch points that attribute to a certain conversion. And then here we can further get a detailed personalization analytics that tell us how our personalization is working and whether we need to make any adjustments. We can see the engagement rate by different segments and so forth. Now, so what is the impact?
Okay. So this is so when we demo Sitefinity, we have a website there. It's called Quantum, and it's the Quantum Computer Company. And so whenever you go and actually do a trial for Sitefinity, you can do a trial today. You can go to sitefinity.com and actually download a fully featured, fully populated with content site there in Sitefinity. The Quantum site does PC sales, and so I'm putting 6 months in here because some of the data is a little stale, but we can actually go in and find the conversion rate, the touch points, the interactions, new context for our particular site. But where I think that things really get interesting, and Anton briefed over it a little bit here, is the recommendations. And these are the prescriptive recommendations. These are what to do moving forward. And it's like, which conversion would increase if you worked on your submit form for your contact us? So we can go and see here that 762 contacts can achieve a higher conversion rate if they visit this particular site. It has the potential to go up 18%. As we start funneling more data into DEC, we're able to start pulling better insights and better prescriptive insights. Now, what if you could give this immediately to a marketing team and let them start making their A/B testing and doing their own A/B testing on the content that we push out? And IT doesn't have to run as many big queries against the data to give them the answers that they need to continue their marketing campaigns. This is a world that I would like to be in, where I can say as a marketer, I don't even have to engage with IT to start making optimizations about the content that are in my site. A number of other different things is we can actually go in and take a look at personas, if it loads. There we go. So in this particular case, we have 3 different personas. My IT manager is always one of my favorites here. You know, no offense if you're an IT manager, but here's an IT manager for you. We can go in and see how our actual IT manager personas are, what pages that they go to, whether we're marketing to those IT personas when we're doing our email blasts, when we're doing our mobile experiences. And we know that this person acts fundamentally different on our site than our gamer, right? So our gamer profile acts completely different than an IT manager, but they both go to the same site. We just need to make sure that we know that when an IT manager goes to the site, they're forced to certain sets of content, and that when a gamer comes to our site, that gamer is brought to another different set of content and a different experience. If we treat these experiences the same, then how many gamers do we leave away, or how many IT managers leave the site? Because thanks everybody for coming out, and hopefully you'll get a chance to check out the Digital Experience Cloud. And also while you're at a Digital Factory, and I'll be around here for a little while, and so if anybody would like to have any conversations or ask some questions, I'll be over at the table here and I can handle any kind of offline questions, but thanks again.